r/ask Reddit. What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? They don't really listen to you or pay attention to what you're talking about, but expect you to be totally engaged with whatever they say and act put out if you aren't. The distracting noise coming out of that other person's mouth stopped. Finally, it's my chance to talk about me. Yeah, it's like they are not listening at all but just have an algorithm running that looks for keywords in your story that they can relate to one of their stories. When they try to one-up you in everything you say. Or even worse than that, when they try to two-up everything you say. I see what you did there. When they're judgmental and critical of others, but never of themselves. You know my father? Yay, I seen him at the store buying milk a few years ago. They don't listen to what you say and respond accordingly. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. I know people that don't even wait for me to stop. Now imagine those people being your best buds. When they start talking about the tons of money I am going to be making with their new business venture and selling knives door to door. That's oddly specific. It's common as hell though. Vector marketing and MLM bullshit, that is. They'd be on the same level as hardcore conspiracy theorists, where they think they're on the next wave of thinking when they're so far back in actuality. Hi, my name is, and I'm an a-hole. Literally how the shop manager introduced himself to everyone, like it's an excuse. Oh god, this can duck right off along with the I'm just a blunt person I say it like it is group. Ugh, I have an employee like this. Most often, these people will dish out the meanest, vilest things about everyone else, but can't take the slightest criticism back. I've seen a lot of answers along the lines of when they say negative things about others, which I agree with BTW, but for me a huge red flag is when someone can't let someone else receive praise or be the center of attention. I've met people in the past who have shown small signs of jealousy when I've praised mutual friends, siblings, strangers, etc. And in each case it was indicative of bigger jealousy and self-esteem issues that led to some messed up stuff. The absolute worst is people trying to one-up another person's suffering. It's one thing to listen and say I have a similar experience, this is what it is so I can relate to what you're going through, but it's entirely another when it's a you've sprained your ankle, I broke mine in 3 places and was on crutches for months. What you're going through is nowhere near as bad. Never, ever dismiss someone else's pain because you think you've been through worse. I call this the Misery Olympics. I tell people that there's no need to compete in the Misery Olympics and we can all be miserable together, lol. Asking me to PM them my ankle. Massive red flag. How often do you actually get ankle pictures? When you barely know them and they act like your best friend, then later ask to borrow money. Yikes, how to tell who is a leecher in minutes. I had a friend like that. He was in his early 20s but seemed an alright guy. One day, out of the blue, he tells me, dude, I really need to move out of my parents' house, but I don't have any money. I need about $300. I just stood there for a second and then said, dude, I don't just have that kind of money. His response was, I know, but I also know you have other friends who do. Can you ask them for me? I ended the conversation and stopped talking with him from then on. We weren't even friends for very long. But I didn't need someone in my life constantly asking for money like that. When the first thing they tell you about themselves is all the hardship and unfairness in their lives. Edit. Wow. First silver. Thanks all. I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep. You poor man. If there's anything we can do to help you. If they can't take no for an answer. Yep, I met someone, strictly platonic, recently who immediately got defensive when I said I couldn't take time away from my business at that time to do something social with them. They threatened to show up at my house and asked, what would you do then? There had been a bunch of red flags with this person leading up to this point, but that was where I was like, goodbye, psycho. That's not how any healthy friendship acquaintanceship works. Thank goodness I have enough good people in my life to recognize that. As teenagers I thought this was fun. Friends dropping by and kidnapping you, or rescuing A bunch of good memories started this way. Spontaneous adventure. That kind of fun is not compatible with lots of adults yo. Reading through these comments made me realize I'm an a-hole. Edit. It's like I've been told I'm an a-hole by my very best friends constantly at one point of time, and I just shrugged it off thinking I'm way too charismatic for them to handle. First step in fixing a problem is acknowledging there is one. Being an a-hole isn't permanent. Keep up the good work. Edit. Thanks for the silver. It's my first medal ever. The second step is not being one of those people who use I'm an a-hole like an excuse. Subtle signs that they aren't remotely interested in you. And the only way you two are together is maybe because an obligation favor. People change their tune often when they have to conceal their feelings of disdain for someone. I've been a victim of this and done this to other people. It sucks being on the receiving end of someone's disinterest. But some people just won't like you from the get-go and will just do the bare minimum to not be completely rude. Watch out for body language like avoiding eye contact and turning away their body from you. Edit. Also pay attention to their tone and if they're listening to you. Usually it takes a combination of verbal and non-verbal cues to know. Also by avoiding eye contact, I mean constantly looking elsewhere on purpose as if to imply you're waiting for something better to happen. A polite voice instead of their normal voice is total indifference. Maybe this is because most of the people I know work service. Everyone here talking about slightly negative people, but OP asked for the biggest red flag, so I'm gonna go with having a swastika scar on their forehead. People think I'm a beach, but I'm really just blunt and tell the truth. They can't handle that. Nah, chances are you're just a beach. Too much information too quickly. People who divulge too much about themselves from the offset generally have poor boundary issues. I speak from experience. I am a recovering poor boundary haver. I do this yikes. I'm also very intense in relationships and generally get attached to people too quickly. How do you develop better boundaries? This is really good, but I don't know if my brain can store both fast for strokes and fast for boundaries. You immediately start hearing from them about all the time other people have hurt them, betrayed them, or otherwise been a-holes to them. If everyone you encounter is an a-hole, chances are you're the a-hole. If you smell shit everywhere you go, check your shoes. Semicolon my dad. Edit. Wow. Thank you for the silver, kind stranger. My first gilding of any kind. Edit. Gold. Thank you, Reddit stranger. Very much appreciated. Can't say my dad would be surprised. He was always fairly certain his logic was sound. Edit. Holy cow. Thank you so very much for the platinum. Somewhere in my heart, I can hear my dad laughing. I'm glad kind internet strangers appreciate his gems of wisdom as much as his kiddos. I met a girl through mutual friends that seemed cute. We flirted a bit and then became Facebook friends. 98% of her feed is passive-aggressive jabs at ex-boyfriends, or about guys friends owning her after having the nerve to accept back rubs yet not rewarding her kindness with a relationship. Oh, so if we date and it doesn't work out, you're going to put me on blast to all our mutual friends? That's a hard pass for me. Belittling there so in front of people but insisting it's a joke every time. Sadly in this situation I used to be the belittled so. My uncle does this to my aunt constantly. Every time they had a family dinner he would insult her and make fun of her, meanwhile she cooked a huge dinner for everyone. I had to stop going over there because their marriage is so bad and they refuse to divorce. My ex-husband used to complain to his mates, while I was present, that I never gave him BJs. I wasn't very experienced when we first got together, and in private whenever I tried he'd condescendingly tell me I didn't do it good enough so I should just stop. Not the complete reason he's an ex, but it helped end things. Sorry, I have no filter. Oh, so you're an a-hole? No thanks. Edit. Or, duck. I gotta stop commenting on Askritic posts and then forgetting about it. I log back into y'all blowing up my inbox and have a mini heart attack. I've been on a few dates like this unfortunately. It's one thing to be honest and speak your mind of course. But if you lack any sort of tact it comes off as a very crude personality trait, which will only attract other crude and obnoxious people into your life. I have no filter definitely screams a-hole. I'm not an a-hole. I just speak the honest truth. Semicolon something a-holes tend to say. When they only talk about themselves. I hate that. They should be talking about me. So tell me about myself. When they say they like poopy. Run. I would run 500 miles. Let's be honest. We often see these red flags but deliberately push on to form a relationship. If the relationship goes bust, we critique ourselves for not heeding the warning signs. This is an unjust self-criticism. You tried your best. Love is blind is not a corny expression. It is a deep truth. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags look like just flags. From BoJack Horseman. Fix the color. It's been a while since I saw it. More than 2 teardrops. I worked at a Hobby Lobby and some really big, buff guy came in and came up to the register with 5 teardrop tattoos and purchased a pile of felt squares and a pack of sparkly stickers. That's a guy who probably suddenly turned his life around when he had a daughter. Uncommon, but not unheard of. Also, teardrop tattoos are the most painful to get removed. I have only ever met 2 men that I'm aware of who lied to me about their ages when we met. Both of these men turned out to be extremely unpleasant and abusive people. I dated one of them and knew the GF of the other one. I think people who lie easily even over trivial things tend to have very complex psychological problems and are best steered clear of. When they bring up topics out of nowhere just so they can spout their opinions and not actually have a conversation, it's very telling about their personality. What does it say exactly? I work with engineers who have to constantly prove they're smarter than everyone. Smart people don't go out of their way to prove they're smarter than everyone else. Your co-workers sound very full of themselves with a superiority complex. More generally, people who just give their opinions spontaneously on things no one asked about just for the sake of sharing their opinion often come off as arrogant and self-centered. Like, I know someone like this and she is the most cokey person I know. This one time, I was in the middle of a conversation with another person about astrology, something I know quite a few things about, and who the other person expressed an interest in learning more about it, to tell us about what she thought of a concealer she bought. When they shake your hand way to ducking hard, like WTF you psycho. I still remember you Ben, you whack job. It's funny, handshakes are a trust ritual. See, I allow you to control my weapon hand. You can trust me. These morons think they're asserting dominance, but they're just failing a trust test. Giving a firm handshake isn't the same thing as obliterating the hand of the other people. I like firm handshake. I like to receive or give. I dislike people who want to kill your hand as much as those that handshake you in such a flimsy way that you feel they would prefer not be there with you. How they treat waiters, waitress, cashiers, janitors, bus drivers and everyone in the service industry. A coworker friend of mine left a bunch of trash at the cinema after we finished watching a movie. I angrily picked up his trash, chased him and told him to throw it away at the bin 3 meters outside of the cinema. And he replied, dude, why are you so Japanese? I did graduated from Japan. I'm just letting the janitors doing their job. No dude, it's not being Japanese, it's being having manners. Couldn't look at him the same way again ever since. So true. Full red flag for not cleaning her own mess regardless of the situation. I mean seriously, who would want to be friends with such a trash folk? Same goes for basic manners. We don't care if your family owns the whole goddamn planet. If you lack manners you will get zero respect and appreciation as a fellow human being. If they are unaware of people around them in a social sense, like, they don't thank service staff or stand in the middle of crowded walkways and not move out of the way of others. Congratulations, you have made friends with a toddler. This is not the biggest of red flags, just ones that have recently pissed me off. My ex was just like that. It was like she lived in her own little bubble. I really think it wasn't because she was a bad person per se. She just didn't seem to realize that the world didn't revolve around her. But it was really stressful going out with her because I'd always felt like I had to be twice as social polite aware to make up for her. I'm starting a communist revolution. To me that's a big red flag. One of my bosses once told me that whenever you start a new job position, it's usually the first person who tries really hard to be your friend is the problem child of the office. They'll usually start telling you of people to avoid as well. I've found this very useful. When you mention something you enjoy and they immediately put it down. I enjoy going on photography walks around cities. That sounds really STOK. Well, kindly get lost, Mr/Mrs. Stranger. When they constantly put down other people's opinions, even and done in a nice way and only their way of thinking is right. They always go yeah but, or actually I think, dot. Usually when people speak of having a lot of people in their life that somehow turned on them and now they don't speak anymore. I remember one old co-worker would become super fast friends with someone. Then within weeks, yeah, we don't really talk anymore once. I'll accept. Hell, even twice. But when it's 4-5 times over, guess what? It's not everyone else. People that are not considerate with your time. Being 5 minutes late every so often isn't a big deal. But when people are consistently 20 minutes late and make people wait, say for a dinner. If you won't let you get 2 words in before interrupting anything you say. If they nitpick your appearance or do a give and take. I just talked to a girl from a dating app who did that, and after I called her out for being very rude, she doubled down. It's a red flag for emotional abuse emo. I'm not a racist, but may make an exception for that joke. I'm not racist, but something completely unrelated to race. How is that racist? I said I wasn't racist. I'm an alpha type hacker. I'm a self-centered asshole who does he know how or won't learn to behave in public. They're carrying a big cross and wearing a white hood. I usually test my friends to see if they're worthy of my friendship. Former friend. She told my GF she was testing her one day and now she's super confused as to why it didn't go over so well. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Such a ducking narcissist thing to say. If they don't have any empathy at all. When they ask how I have fun at parties if I'm not drinking at them. Their word choice. People who refer to women as beaches, men as dongs, or anyone by a derogatory term pertaining to them. If we're already friends and they use it jokingly not meaningfully, that's different. But people complaining about my beach of an ex are almost always people I don't want to hang out with. When they have no problem dishing about others, especially friends, in a hateful way. Not only do I not want to hear what you have to say, but now I don't trust you. They try to project their voice as loudly as possible to overplay their actual feebleness, but then the capillaries in their nose burst from the effort and they grin at you through rivulets of blood seeping into the interstices between their perfectly bleached teeth. Of course, blood is an emetic, so they will retch and eventually vomit out a perfectly formed sausage on the floor before you. It's a condom filled with cocaine. Turns out they're a drug mule. Everybody needs to make a living, but I'm wary of such people. A few red flags for me are, they flake or cancel plans at the last minute constantly without reason. They rant about their personal problems and don't talk to you at all about common interests. They never have money on them but ask you to take them around to places. A people user. They start drama such as fights with you or others. Toxic. When emergency situations happen, they're nowhere to be found or heard from. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.